Weather alert. All right, you're back with us live on Sky News Weather. We're now going to cut to a press conference from southeast Queensland from Emergency Headquarters.
Thanks, Premier, and the Premier is exactly right. We've just received two messages, one from Logan City and one from the Gold Coast City. The LDMGs have issued in Logan City. They have asked for residents in low-lying areas to consider leaving and move to higher ground in relation to flooding in the Albert and Logan rivers, with peaks expected at major levels today and tomorrow. They are saying that the river is expected to peak in flood at Beenleigh around midday today, and they've asked people to consider leaving low-lying areas and move to Friends or the Beenleigh and District Senior Citizens and Beenleigh PCYC halls as other places of safety. The northern Gold Coast area has experienced similar levels of flooding. The Gold Coast City Council, LDMG, has issued an evacuation alert for people in the Stapleton, Jacobswell, Norwell Road, Eggsersdorf Road, Kirkin Road and Pimpama Jacobswell areas to evacuate now. Floodwaters are approaching and they are putting out SMS alerts to people in those areas. They are asking people to go to higher ground, to evacuate to friends and family or the Ormeo Community Centre at 3 Cuthbert Drive, which is open. They're urgent alerts and we'd ask the community to take them seriously. As the Premier said, this emergency is not over yet and we are dealing with flooding.
How many people are we talking about, Commissioner, in terms of the evacuations that you've just outlined?
I would suggest, I don't have the actual figures in front of me, but I would suggest many thousands of people would live in that area.
Any suggestions of forced evacuations at this stage?
Well, the notification from the Gold Coast LDMG is an evacuation order.
So people have to move?
Yes, absolutely. That's what we're asking them to do right now.
And police are going into door knock as they did up in...
Exactly, and in fact these messages are available on the police system as well as the council system. So there's plenty of information out, official information out there for people to respond to.
And with peaks of rivers still to come, do you expect those evacuation areas to be enlarged?
Patrick, they could, and that's why I've said right from the start of this, please watch all of the official channels of communication for urgent updates just like this. This is playing out exactly as we thought it would. These are proactive messages from the councils and the state government officials for people to act on.
What do you expect the peak to be?
I don't have that information here, only that it is going to peak in the Beenleigh area around midday today, and certainly I'd suspect that would be very similar in the northern Gold Coast areas. So thanks, Premier.
I'll just hand over to Bruce, but I just want to update everyone that we are not expecting, we've just had confirmation from SEQ Water, there will be no releases from Wivenhoe, Somerset and North Pine, and Wivenhoe's at 73%. So that is also an updated good news for people who may have had some concerns about those issues. So we'll hand over to Bruce Gunn from the Bureau of Meteorology just to talk about the impact of this water that's now happening along some of our river systems. Bruce?
Thanks, Premier. Good morning, everyone. As was said before, ex-cyclone Debbie's now out to sea. The rain's largely ceased, but there are still some wind and wave hazards around the southeast corner. But of more concern is the flood risk. The Logan and Albert rivers, the Worrell Creek, all have major flood warnings on them. Last night we played the standard emergency warning signal siren on asked broadcasters to use the standard emergency warning signal broadcast on those warnings, and it's panned out, as you've heard the Commissioner talk about the evacuation orders. So those places that were going to get record flood levels were places like Beaudesert, Wolfdean, Beenleigh, Waterford on the Logan and Albert systems, and Amberley on the Worrell Creek system. But at this stage we're not expecting anything only slightly above minor flood level for the lower Brisbane River. So in terms of what happened in the last 24 or 48 hours, we've seen some pretty big rainfall totals, up to 602 millimetres at Upper Springbrook in the last 24 hours, and over the 2 days, something like over 800 millimetres. For the 24 hours today, Nerang had about 364 millimetres, Bow Desert 283, but other than that, widespread 100 to 300 millimetre falls with those isolated spots of 300 to 600. In terms of wind yesterday, we saw the stronger winds coming through the southeast or working their way down the coast as the infeed band into what was left of Debbie worked its way down the coast through Gladstone and Bundaberg to the Sunshine Coast. But down in the southeast we saw some wind gusts in excess of 100 kilometres an hour, 112 at Double Island Point, 114 kilometres an hour at Redcliffe around about 6:30 yesterday evening. Brisbane Airport had a 92 kilometre gust at around 20 past 7 last night, and in the early hours of this morning we've seen the Gold Coast with some quite big gusts as well, up to around the 90, 100 kilometres an hour. And there is still that strong wind risk around the Gold Coast that's leading to some wind and wave type hazards around the coast. The beaches down at the Gold Coast would still be fairly hazardous, and the so those conditions around the Gold Coast should be gradually easing during the day.
Are you able to comment on reports that the Brisbane CBD could be in danger of flooding this evening or tonight?
No danger.
I think I just mentioned that the only